Got it?
Yep.
All right. Anyway, like I was showing before, to get the omoplata, instead of going for the one that's completely telegraphed, where I'm just gonna swing my leg around and be brute with it, I'm gonna go where I control my opponent the entire time that I'm doing it. So I'm playing here and I'm faking that I'm gonna go for a choke or an arm bar. My opponent's keeping his hands on. He's not putting them on the ground. He's not resting, but I still want to get that. I'm thinking 3 moves ahead. If he gives me the choke, I'm gonna go for that first. He gives me the arm bar, I'm gonna go for that first. But I'm still thinking, when in the back of my head, what can I get? I'm thinking omoplata. So I'm gonna fake. I'm gonna go for the arm bar here. He keeps that arm over there. Immediately, I'm gonna put my elbow to my stomach, and I'm gonna swing it here, so I can pop that elbow out of my body. That once that elbow is no longer directly on my body, it's a good position for me to have. And then from here, of course, he still has his hand here, where he can still control my shoulder and make it really difficult for me to get anything. What I like to do here now is the moment I open, I'm gonna use this hand here to push, boom. And I'm gonna, again, drive that elbow there, right by my thigh, my leg, to control that. I grab his shoulder, and now I got enough room here where I can still maneuver, but I got that elbow onto the ground, the position that I wanted it in. Now, before I do anything else, I'm gonna make sure my guard gets high. I'm adjusting, I'm still controlling my opponent. If my opponent gives me something else, I'm gonna go for that. The entire time I'm thinking, what else can I get? But I'm thinking, in the end, I'm gonna go for an omoplata. So he's not giving me anything, but he's letting me put all the little steps for the omoplata. So he's kept this open, he's not putting this down where it's gonna stop my hip. When I start to swing my leg around, and I'm already perpendicular to this position, when I start to let go of here to swing my leg around, immediately he's gonna wanna get up to escape, to get out. He's like, oh crap, it's free, yay. Remember, you wanna have some positive control. So when I start swinging this leg around, this hand is gonna go right here to make sure he doesn't run away completely. This hand here is gonna go in between his legs. If his legs are tight, no big deal. That's fine. You still can drive that arm through. And I use my hip here to move his body. I drive that arm all the way through. I'm not gonna pick my body up. I wanna spin under my opponent. So this is where this leg comes in, where I used to pivot and I spin under my opponent. Here, I have control. So he does not roll. He doesn't run away from me. I can still pull him down. What I like to do from here is this hand, I like to hold the belt right there. Or, you know, if he doesn't have a belt or something on, I'll hold right here by the hip. These feet right here is gonna point and touch the ground. So immediately I'm gonna be pressing to touch the ground. I start scooting my hip out, scooting my hip out. When I get to this position here, if my opponent ends up on his knees, let's say he's fighting me, he ends up on his knees. Can I finish the omoplata from here? Yes, I can. But I don't want to. I don't want to give him any room to escape, to roll, even though I'm holding his pants down here and I'm holding here and applying weight. I don't want him to roll. So what I like to do is I'm going to keep my hand to where I'm holding some fabric or the belt. I'm going to keep my hand down here and I'm going to keep my legs pointed this way. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep shrimping until I break my opponent down. I'm pulling by his shoulder when I'm doing that shrimp. It's this right here that's locked down and I'm pulling. Look how it drags, even without holding anything, it drags him by the shoulder. But I still have this here so he doesn't roll. So the moment he's broken down, boom, elbow goes in. I got good control of my opponent. I can let go here. If you need to adjust the arm because it got a little out or whatever, you got this free hand where you can fix it, adjust it. You cup it right here, boom, you got good control. But you don't necessarily need if it's a nice, good shape like that. I got my weight applied, I'm tight with my opponent, and I'm gonna slowly rotate to get him to tap. But here's the thing of rotation that's really important. This becomes the pivot point. Right here where the joint is becomes the pivot point. I don't want to do this. This is not going to tap my opponent. This is not going to tap my opponent. All those are not going to tap my opponent. I'm pressing my knee down because this becomes the pivot, the joint. And I go, and look, that's rolling, and he taps. So moving the arm a little bit, I don't want to. So if my guy was a little bit more flexible, this remains, and it goes rotating all the way so my opponent taps. That makes sense? Make sense? Cool.